Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along this evening to Crown Business TV, the place where business owners and entrepreneurs receive valuable insight and takeaway information to help them improve their profitability and business growth. My name is Harvey Lynch, and welcome along this evening. Tonight, we've got a bit in store for you. We're going to do a recap on the video marketing we spoke about last week and the reasons why video is so important in your business and in your marketing these days. Steve Becchio is joining us as well. And before I jump any further, get ready for a pitch coming. Look, if you're serious about growing your business right now and experiencing any difficulties with the current climate, the what's going on in the economy at the moment, God, isn't there a lot going on right now? And you want some help, I'm giving away a free copy of my book to help you with strategies in getting through this time right now. Mention it in the comments below. I'll send it out to you free. I'll just have to grab some details off you to get it to you, and we'll get that to you and help you out there. Steve's coming in now. I can see him in the background there. How you going, Steve?
Hey, Harvey. Good to be here tonight, mate.
Fantastic, mate. It's good to have you.
Always a pleasure. Always love coming on the show. Good topic
mate.
Tonight too. One of my favourite topics.
Yeah, bloody hell. Yeah, awesome. Mate, I just wanted to revisit last week on video marketing. Ayrton Suldos we had on the show and provided us some really good insights into why video is so powerful these days. In fact, I just researched some quick statistics before the show in the fact that video content nowadays is 50 times more likely to drive organic search engine results than that of just plain text, as well as things like having a video, just a video thumbnail in your search results can actually double your search engine traffic as well. So just that alone, doubling the results you're getting is huge. And I've been doing video quite a while now myself, in particular these live videos, and finding that it is doing my engagement on my social media channels is much higher with using live stuff. I know you're doing a lot of video now as well, Steve. What has been your experience in the area of using video marketing, mate?
Yeah, mate. You're right. It's just people's attention span is getting shorter and shorter, and it's just you've got to get above the noise these days. And like you said, I mean, it's 10 times better conversion with videos. And I think one of the main lessons that I've learned from doing it is that you've got to do it consistently. If you do it consistently and you try to deliver the best quality content and teach people and give them value, then over time there's big payoffs for being consistent and putting your message out there on a regular basis. And I guess that's the biggest lesson I've learned from doing video stuff.
And a bit like everything in life, the more consistent you are at putting it out there, the more you're going to receive back in return. And
right, the better you get too. The better you get, of course.
Yeah. Well, we spoke about the big impacts of or the fears that people have when trying to get in front of the camera, and along with that, the consistency, the practice makes perfect. Well, it's never perfect, but just getting it done is the key, isn't it? And over time, certainly I've found, and you've mentioned as well, that you do really improve. And it's not about trying to make things perfect at all, is it, Steve? It's just getting that.
That's right. And, the most important thing is to be authentic. And as you do it enough, you find your voice. And you find out how you talk to people online, and it's you don't have to be a great presenter or a great looking presenter. I'm living proof of that. You just have to get out there and be yourself, I think. And yeah,
absolutely, mate. Now, Steve, moving on, mate. The topic of this week is websites, and I titled the show tonight "The Good, Bad, and the Ugly." Well, there's everywhere you look, there's one of those on the internet that you come across, and I think we know through statistics that only half of Australian businesses actually have an online web presence.
Amazing, that statistics.
Yeah, it's huge, and I think there's some of those reasons why people may have tried websites in the past and things haven't worked for them. And they've decided, well, I've thrown a lot of money down the drain there. But along with that, I think a lot of people get confused with the fact that websites just aren't a place to put pretty pictures, are they, Steve? There's a hell of a lot more behind a website than just
That's right, mate. No, I think on the internet, you've got about this is probably good 4 to 6 seconds to get someone's attention. So, if you can't get their attention within that time frame, there's a saying that goes, the confused reader always says no. So if they're coming into your website and they don't know what it's about, or it doesn't connect with them straight away, they're going to browse somewhere else pretty quickly. So
yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the purpose of a website. I think rather than to clear the objection that you've spoken about and what people may have against websites, well, really the website is the central hub for your business that people come to visit when they're doing their own intelligence. They're trying to gather information online about a certain product or service that you might have, and it's the central hub. But in saying that, it's also the place of influencing human behaviour into taking some action as well, isn't it? And that's where I think a lot of breakdown with websites begin, is because when someone who's searching arrives on your site, a visitor arrives on your site, and your site isn't speaking to them in some way, offering them some value and getting them to take further steps, then they're just going to, and the classic term is bounce. And you've only got a small amount of time to do that. So the purpose of it is obviously the central hub where people can find your information, but it's also a central place of influencing that visitor to take certain steps to help them out, and in return will help your business out as well. So let's look at some of the main points that your website must include to be able to, first of all, get the visitor the information that they're looking for, as well as give your business the results that you need for your website to be performing. And I'm just going to start one off, Steve, and you can join in with me as well. But I'm going to say the first, well, not in any order, ladies and gentlemen, but one of them is data capture, right? And to do that, I mean data capture through your visitors' contact information. And the way to get that information is to obviously offer something of value to them first, something of value that is going to really provide value for that visitor that they can take away and actually use now. And for example, something like a free report. If you're a service business or something like that, they can actually give them insights into what the real problems are with what they could be experiencing. If you have an e-commerce site, for example, it could be a $1 free trial, something like that. To get that information, there's an offer of free value there, or a lot of places now are giving away 100% free trials for 2 weeks to 60 days. And as well as something like a free sample, even, Steve. Do you think anything else that you could give in value?
Yeah, that's right. It's like we were saying, if you can educate your viewers and your customers without trying to sell them something, try to. And what you're doing is you're using the principle of reciprocity. So you're giving lots of value first. Without expecting anything back, and that will just create some goodwill and good relationship with your viewers and your online viewers. So all those things that you're mentioning are really good ways to to give away value and to also to find out what their needs and wants are too. They'll be more open to that information. So.
Absolutely. Also, I've spoken about this before. I won't go into too much depth with it, but I've recently done a video on this actually, and that is the headline of your site. The headline is probably the most compelling thing to attract and keep your visitors on your page. Steve, you've had plenty of experience with headlines as well, mate.
Yeah, like a website is just another piece of advertising copy, and if you look at most websites, they open up with the name of the business, the logo, and the things that they do. So someone's coming in, they see 100 of those websites. Your website, you probably 5% of your real estate up the top is going to get you 80% of your traffic, because when they come in, you enter the conversation that's going on in the minds of whoever's browsing to your website. Now, they might have come in off Google, and there's different types of people that are coming into your website, and you want your website to send a message to the people that you're getting. Now, if they're coming into your website from Google and they're looking for their solution aware, and they're problem aware, they're looking for a solution, then your headline on your site should be speaking directly to them straight away. It could be, I need physiotherapy, I've got a sore back, and your opening message, your banner, your headline should speak directly to the type of browser that's coming in, and that's like a landing page. That's what's happening with the landing page. So the message is like, you've got one message, you've got one piece of copy, and you've got one type of customer you're talking to when they're coming into your website. So that's the headline.
Absolutely. So I believe then that requires the adoption or the use of direct emotional response marketing onto your website or your landing page, for that matter, in realizing the visitor's pain points, and speaking to those pain points and offering solutions or showing that visitor that you can help them by actually helping them whilst they're there on your website. And that could be through the offer of value right there and then. But using that emotional response marketing is the way to go.
Yeah, a good example that might be if you've got like a mechanics site. You look at a lot of mechanics sites, and they have, we do this, we do these services, and this. Now, let's say that what do the people want when they go to a mechanic? They want to be able to trust your mechanic, that they're not going to rip you off. So you might have a headline or a banner there that says, okay, a trusted mechanic in local area, all work is guaranteed, or something like that. So the thing that's in their head is, can I trust it? Are they going to give me a fair price, and they're going to tell me what's really wrong with my car? And that's an example of the emotional part of what a site will speak to.
Well, I'm glad you touched on that, Steve, because I've got some examples here, and one of them is an actual mechanics website, believe it or not. So I'll bring it up on the screen now. An example of a website that we're talking about. This is a mechanics website, and you can see straight away once the page loads. Now, what Steve spoke about before, as in regards to what physically comes up in front of you when the website loads is what is called above the fold, meaning above the scroll line of the page. And obviously the first thing that you can see here is the headline right in front of your face there. So put yourself in safe hands, tomorrow matters. So it's speaking to the prospect, thinking, well, about their safety, their health and safety with their vehicle, right? Making sure that their vehicle is properly maintained, and it's speaking to the safety of the person. Got nothing, they're not talking about at all about the mechanics of the car at all in the headline. So that's obviously going to pique someone's interest to want to scroll on further. It's obviously with the image there as well. They're speaking to families in that headline as well, with the image in regards to safety there as well. Steve, if I miss anything when I'm scrolling, just jump in, mate. But
you can see they've got a very clear call to action there, and you can also use the chat there. I might mention, and this is possibly somewhere they might improve, is when people come into a website, they always look at the first thing and the last thing. So what I might put, the home might be good at the start there. and at the end, put the book online, because your eyes usually go to the first thing and the last thing. So if it's a book online, I'll probably look at that. But apart from that, really, really good opening headline there. So.
Yep. Call to action, and it always needs to be the same call to action on each page. You don't want to have multiple call to actions at all. So that's very important. The other thing I'll mention too is that your website, particularly above the fold, it needs to be clean. It needs to be simple and easy to navigate, so that people can easily get the desired info that they're after without too much confusion. Particularly, for example, if you have an e-commerce site and when someone's looking to purchase something, they need to be able to find payment information quickly, payment, what's the word, Steve? How to pay for their product and get out quickly, without too much mucking around, because the more time they spend doing that, the more likely that they are to abandon the cart and abandon the purchase. So must be clean, and above all, it must have that emotional impact as well. Scrolling down, we see what they then speak about, what services they provide, all the different types of services they can do, and these are all clickable. Here is their offer. Now, it states that all customers get a free 50-point car check. All right, so to book that free check-in, that's where they'll be gathering your contact information so that they can then future look after you through their marketing channels. So that's their free offer there, which is pretty a compelling offer, mind you, a free 50-point car check, which is that's going to take a bit of time to do. So they're giving that time away for free there. Steve, anything else to add there, mate?
Oh, look, it's good to have that offer there. The only thing I might suggest is that offer is moved further up, so it's prominent when they first get there. Because it seems like the objective of this site is to get the customer to actually book an appointment. That's the main objective, and that's great, because it's very clear what this site's supposed to do. Testimonials, love those. It's always good to have those as well. Building credibility and so good site and a few improvements. Yeah,
absolutely. And
most of the sites are not as good as this, really.
For sure. And speaking of the social proof, that was going to be my next topic of discussion with websites is the use of social proof, i.e. testimonials, preferably video, if not via text, because social proof and using your already existing clients to speak about how good you are, or your business is, or your product or service is a much more powerful way to have other people talk about you in that matter than you trying to convince people yourselves. So social proof is, if you're not using it, then you're leaving a lot of dollars on the table without. So you must include social proof of some sort on your website, and I would highly recommend video in this case. I see there in the chat there, they're already throwing offers out in the chat box there on autopilot, Steve.
Yeah, possibly a little annoying to have a chat box come up there. But always good to have other ways to get engagement of people coming to the site as well. It means they can instantaneously ask questions and communicate without having to go through or enter details, which is it's a great way to get engagement up with the site, increase the convenience.
And obviously, contact information is a must as well. You must have that there, as well as your Google Map or your business listing on Google Maps. Sorry, as well is a huge thing. One thing that not too many people mention, Steve. I'll just bring us back, and we'll have another look at another website in a second. Is the speed of loading of a website. Now, here's an interesting statistic for you, is that 2 seconds is all it takes, or all businesses or companies have for their website to load these days. Anything longer than 2 seconds, it actually speeds up your bounce rate, or the time people stay on your site, by it speeds up that bounce rate increase by 50%, right? So it is huge if your website doesn't load fast. Now, Steve, with the technology background, mate, you would be able to speak about how to improve that bounce rate and who can get that done for you to make sure that your website loads.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when most people, a lot of people do a website, they cut costs and they might go for a cheap hosting provider, and that's great. The downside of that is that the resources behind the website don't load the site very well, and if you combine that with very heavy graphics and a complicated site, you can get a situation where it's taking a long time to load, and that can really do some damage to your conversions and traffic coming through. So without, I mean, we won't go into the deep level details, but there are the services that allow you to what's called cache, and that store the copies of your website at various locations. And there are features you can add to your hosting and selection of your hosting package. Some of the ones where you may pay a little more, but it's worth the money to spend that extra on the performance. And those features can load your pieces of your website and place them at various locations so that, when people access the site, it's faster on the screen and things like that. And as you said, it's 2 seconds or so. If you can get to that sort of performance threshold, then that's a really good performance for your site. You don't have to worry about, people just 3 seconds, I'm gone type thing. So just a few technical tips to think of when you're getting someone to design your site there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just on that, again, it brings us back to the beginning about talking about people that have had frustrations from websites that don't perform. I think one of the big things we must add when talking about having a website is having the analytics behind it that back it up, that actually tell you what's going on with your website, tell you where the blockages are, where people are navigating to and they might be backing out of. There's multiple software out there, but I would definitely start by utilizing something like Google Analytics to tell you what's happening with your website. So
absolutely.
Google
Analytics is quite a sophisticated tool, and it's free. And it allows you to get very granular reports on where the traffic's coming from. There are also tools in websites such as WordPress that give you great reports. If you're using Facebook, there are free tools there to use what's called Facebook Pixels to track traffic from your pages on Facebook and how your ads are performing. And if you get, there are lots more sophisticated tools, and these are probably something that, if somebody's assisting you with a digital marketing strategy, there are quite sophisticated tools that are not too expensive, where you can actually look and analyze your competitors' ads. So you can look at backlinks to your site. You can look at who's linking to your competitor sites. You can look at where your keywords should be going. Now that's very sophisticated and valuable information to get your page ranking quickly. And know exactly what your competitors are doing and what ads are working. So there's lots of, you can scale this up and get very, very clever in the way that you get your message out there. But fundamentals first, Google Analytics, great starting points.
Steve, we all know that business owners are busy and they're very time poor. What are we looking at here when we're talking about analytics, backlinks, all that sort of stuff? We want to improve our website, but we just don't have the time to do it. So we need a professional to do it. My suggestion is there's website designers out there, and there is website designers who are marketers. And you might pay that little bit extra to have a marketer design your website, but it is worth its weight in gold. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And there are many services out there like Fiverr, Upwork. If you follow a few rules and you pick the highest rated ones, and you can have a look through there, and they will provide complete services for looking at your website, looking at the performance of your website, the keywords in your website. They're actually people that do and not too expensive, a basic website design and search optimization, and they will give you the key information and set it up for you. So you don't have to worry about all those tools and stuff like that. For sure, that people don't have time to get into that stuff. But what they do want is the result. So.
Absolutely, and we haven't touched on search engine optimization tonight. We'll probably leave that for another night. But I think the finisher here is to, from what we've discussed tonight, is to realise what needs to be done on that website, what it needs to be able to perform, have the knowledge of that, and then engage with a professional, engage with a website designer/marketer to be able to put that together for you, and that has the expertise in all the technology and the genius to get it all up and running for you. But having that knowledge to make sure that when it is up and running, what you need to be looking at to make sure that website is working for you. And you're going to know that by measuring the results from what call to actions you're wanting your visitors to take. And that could be people walking in the front door of your business premises, or it could be people opting into even your newsletter, something like that. As long as you're measuring what you're doing, and you will then realise if your website's performing or not, and you're going to have a really good performing website. I think that's pretty much it.
That's right, mate. I think one of the things that people skip is they don't sit down with a piece of paper and they think about their customer and the type of customers that are coming in. And if you go to a service and you go to a copywriter and ask them to do something, it's much better if you've actually sat down and thought about who the person is that your customer is, and when they come into your site, what are their pains, their desires, their wants, needs. And if you can get an idea of that, you've done the basic research that gives you the ability to design your site with these principles that'll hit them. It'll hit the nail right on the head when they come into your site. It makes your site 10 times better than something you flip on a WordPress template or something like that. So that's the main way, I think. Yeah,
the emotional response side of things, getting in the mind of your customer and
knowing your customer. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, most business owners, all business owners pretty much know that to a certain point, but being able to display that on something like your website or any marketing piece, really. I mean, marketing is very similar, whether it is a website or whether it's a newsletter or any other asset that you use to generate leads and generate customers. It's all pretty much relevant across any channel, isn't it, Steve?
That's right, mate. A website is marketing. It's ad copy. Same principles of copywriting apply to a website and marketing. So it's spot on.
Absolutely, mate. Mate, thanks again for coming on tonight. It's been a pleasure, and really look forward to joining us again another time. I think websites tonight, I think, is pretty timely too with what we've been talking a lot about lately with businesses getting online with their business, particularly in the fact that only half of Australian businesses have a web presence. So it's certainly a time to engage with an online presence. And some people think websites are the go, some people don't. The topic out of tonight, though, is if you are utilising a website and it's not performing, you now know what things to be looking at to make sure your website is performing for you. And if you need any more help with that, just be sure to reach out, mention in the comments below, and we'll get a conversation going. We can point you in the right direction there.
Yeah,
Steve, thanks again, mate.
Put the questions down there, yeah, because it's one of my favourite topics. Really enjoy talking about website marketing. Yeah,
absolutely, awesome, mate. Thanks again, Steve. Thanks for joining us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next week, 6:30 Western Standard Time, and look forward to speaking with you then. Catch you later.
Yeah.